Lena was only 22 when she became a mother. She lived in a small apartment in Ohio, working part-time at a grocery store and trying to balance bills that never seemed to stop coming. When her son, Noah, was born, she felt a mix of fear and hope. He was tiny, quiet, and always seemed deep in his own world. Everyone told her that newborns were different, that some cried, some slept a lot, and some took time to adjust. So she waited, hoping things would get easier. But as months passed, Lena felt something was different about Noah. He rarely made eye contact. He did not smile the way other babies did. He hardly cried, but when he did, it came from something she could never understand. Loud sounds made him shake. Bright lights made him cover his face. Soft touches made him pull away as if he were scared. Lena tried to calm him, but nothing worked. Ethan, Noah's father, worked long hours as a mechanic. He always came home tired, his hands stained with grease and his shirt smelling of metal. But no matter how tired he was, he always tried to help. He would hold Noah gently and whisper to him. Sometimes, Noah relaxed in his arms. Other times, he remained distant and quiet. Still, Ethan never gave up. He believed that Noah just needed time. When Noah turned 2, Lena noticed he still had not spoken a single word. Not mama, not dada, not even simple sounds that other toddlers made. He lined up his toys in perfect straight rows. He became upset if Lena moved even one of them. He would sit by the window for hours, watching the shadows of trees move back and forth. Lena felt helpless. Family and friends tried to give advice, most of it unhelpful. Some told her she was not trying hard enough. Others said Noah was just shy and would grow out of it. Lena listened, nodding politely, but inside she felt a heavy pressure growing. She worried she was already failing as a mother. She worried she would never understand her own child. Ethan suggested they take Noah to a specialist. Lena agreed, even though she feared what they might hear. After several tests and quiet conversations, the doctor explained that Noah was autistic. Lena did not know what that meant at first. The doctor told her that Noah saw the world differently, that he needed patience, stability, and support. He said Noah was not broken or wrong. He just needed people who could understand him. Ethan took the news calmly, holding Noah's hand the whole time. But Lena felt the room spin. She could not think clearly. She felt guilt, fear, and confusion all at once. She asked herself if she caused it, if she could fix it, if she could handle it. She did not know how to care for a child who needed so much. Therapy sessions started soon after. Lena took Noah every week, sitting silently as therapists tried new methods to help him communicate. Some days, Noah made small improvements. Other days, he refused to participate at all. Lena grew more frustrated each week. She wanted quick results. She wanted Noah to change, to act like other children, to make her feel like she was not failing. Ethan remained calm. He learned how to help Noah with routines. He learned how to comfort him during sensory overload. He learned what sounds frightened him and what activities calmed him. He watched Noah closely and slowly understood his patterns. Lena, however, felt growing distance from her son. Whenever she tried to hug him, he pulled away. Whenever she asked him to say her name, he stared past her. She felt invisible to him. She began to believe he did not love her at all. She cried often, sometimes quietly in the bathroom, sometimes in the car after dropping him at therapy. Money problems added to her stress. Bills stacked up. Therapy was expensive. Gas was expensive. Everything felt heavy. Ethan tried to reassure her, but she felt trapped. Every day felt the same: struggles, tears, confusion. She started to avoid spending time alone with Noah, afraid she would do something wrong. One night, Noah had a meltdown that lasted almost an hour. He screamed, kicked, and covered his ears while shaking in fear. Lena tried to touch him to calm him, but he pushed her away and screamed louder. Ethan stepped in and held him gently until he finally relaxed. Lena sat on the floor, watching them. She felt like an outsider in her own home. She felt like she did not belong. She felt tired in a way she had never felt before. Days later, she told Ethan she needed a break. She said she was not strong enough. She said she did not know how to be the mother Noah needed. Ethan tried to convince her that they could manage together, but Lena's mind was already slipping away from the life she once hoped for. She packed a small bag and left the apartment, leaving behind the son she could not understand and the man who tried so hard to keep them together. Noah watched her walk out the door, quiet as always, his small hands gripping the edge of the couch. He did not cry. He simply stared. And Lena kept walking, believing she had nothing left to give. Ethan woke up the morning after Lena left with a quiet ache in his chest. The apartment felt even smaller now, as if all the warmth had left with her. He walked into the living room and found Noah sitting on the floor, arranging his toy cars in a perfect straight line. Noah did not ask where his mother was. He did not look confused. He simply continued lining up the cars, one by one, lost in his own world. Ethan sat beside him, unsure of what to say or how to explain something he barely understood himself. He rested a hand gently on Noah's back. Noah did not pull away, but he did not react either. Ethan whispered, "It's just us now, buddy." The words felt heavier than he expected. The days that followed were hard. Ethan worked full-time at the mechanic shop, often coming home with aching muscles and tired eyes. But no matter how worn out he was, he always made sure Noah's needs came first. He cooked simple meals, scheduled therapy appointments, and kept their routines steady. Structure helped Noah feel safe, and Ethan quickly learned how important that stability was. Each morning, Noah sat at the kitchen table with his cereal, tapping the spoon exactly 3 times before taking a bite. Each evening, he lined up his crayons in the same order before drawing quiet patterns on paper. Ethan learned not to change anything suddenly. Even a small shift made Noah anxious. Sometimes Ethan felt like he was learning an entirely new language, one without words, one that required patience more than anything else. Therapists became a regular part of their life. Miss Claire, a gentle and patient woman with calm eyes, met with Noah twice a week. She taught him simple communication tools, picture cards, gestures, and short exercises to help him express his needs. Ethan attended every session, watching closely, taking notes, and practicing the techniques at home. Slowly, Noah began showing small signs of progress. He learned to point at pictures when he wanted something. He learned to nod for yes, and shake his head for no. Ethan celebrated every tiny step as if it were a miracle. But not everything came easily. Some days, Noah refused to participate at all. He would turn his face away, curl his fingers tightly, or become overwhelmed by the slightest sound. Ethan felt helpless during those moments. He wanted to fix everything, but he knew he could not force Noah to be someone he wasn't. On weekends, Ethan took Noah to the local park early in the morning before the crowds arrived. Noah liked the swings, but only if the motion was slow and steady. He loved watching the leaves move with the wind. He seemed fascinated by patterns, how shadows shifted, how water rippled, how birds walked in rhythmic little steps. Ethan found beauty in those small details too, mostly because they allowed him to understand his son just a little more. Neighbors sometimes whispered. They noticed Lena was gone and wondered why. Some assumed Ethan had driven her away. Others said he was too young to raise a child alone. But Ethan ignored them. He focused on Noah, because no one else knew the quiet battles he fought every day. One evening, after a long shift at work, Ethan came home to find Noah sitting on the living room floor with Ethan's old laptop. It was an outdated machine, slow and scratched, but Ethan had kept it for years. He always thought Noah preferred toys, but instead, he had carefully opened the laptop and pressed random keys. The screen showed a mess of letters and symbols, but Noah seemed mesmerized. Ethan watched him, curious. Noah wasn't just tapping the keyboard, he was observing how the screen reacted, pressing the same keys again and again, studying the patterns. Ethan did not interrupt. He sat quietly nearby, letting Noah explore at his own pace. A few days later, Miss Claire mentioned that some autistic children showed strong interest in structured, logical activities. She suggested introducing simple educational games or coding exercises when Noah got older. Ethan filed that thought away, not knowing how important it would become in the years ahead. Months turned into a year before Ethan heard from Lena again. She sent a short message, "I need time. I'm not ready to come back." Ethan read the message twice. He did not reply. He had no energy to argue or beg. He had become both mother and father, caregiver and comforter, teacher and protector. He did not have room in his heart for someone who had walked away. Every night, Ethan checked on Noah before going to sleep. He always found him curled up in bed, holding a small stuffed bear. The soft glow of a nightlight cast gentle shadows on the walls. Sometimes Noah hummed quietly in his sleep, a low rhythmic sound that seemed to soothe him. Each night, Ethan whispered the same words, "I'm here, Noah. I'm not going anywhere." He meant it with every part of his tired, determined heart. Slowly, quietly, their small world began to settle into something steady. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't easy. But it was theirs. And as Noah grew, so did something else inside him, a quiet spark, a hidden talent waiting for the right moment to shine, even though neither he nor Ethan knew it yet. Years passed quietly, and Noah grew from a small, gentle boy into a teenager who still spoke very little, but showed the world his thoughts in other ways. He was 15 now, tall and thin, with calm brown eyes that rarely met anyone else's, but always focused intensely on the things he loved. And the thing he loved most was the old laptop Ethan had given him years ago. The laptop had become Noah's safe space. While other kids his age played sports or hung out with friends, Noah sat at the dining table for hours, typing, clicking, and watching the screen with full concentration. Ethan did not always understand what he was doing, but he knew the laptop helped Noah stay relaxed. Whenever Noah felt overwhelmed or anxious, the soft tapping of the keyboard helped settle him. Often, Ethan stood in the doorway, watching his son work. He noticed patterns in the way Noah typed, slow and steady at first, then fast and precise, as if his fingers already knew what they wanted to say even if his voice didn't. Noah seemed to understand numbers and symbols the same way other kids understood conversation. It came naturally to him. One afternoon, Noah opened a coding tutorial that a therapist had suggested years ago. It was meant for beginners, with bright colors and simple tasks. Noah finished the first level in minutes. Then he moved to the next, and the next. Soon he was far beyond what the program was designed for. He wasn't just following instructions, he was creating his own patterns, experimenting with commands, and solving problems the computer threw at him. Ethan walked by and paused. He didn't want to interrupt, but curiosity got the better of him. "What are you working on, buddy?" he asked gently. Noah did not answer with words. Instead, he tilted the screen slightly toward Ethan. It showed a small animation Noah had created, a trail of shapes moving in perfect rhythm across the page. Each shape changed color and angle with every step. Ethan smiled. "That's amazing," Ethan said softly. Noah looked at him for a moment, just a brief glance, but it was enough to warm Ethan's heart. Their connection had always lived in small moments like this. School was never easy for Noah. He struggled with noise, crowded hallways, and unexpected changes. But his teachers noticed something remarkable. Whenever Noah worked on computer-related tasks, he excelled. He could complete assignments faster and more accurately than most students. His special education teacher, Mr. Langdon, began giving him extra challenges, simple coding problems, digital puzzles, and logic assignments. Noah completed all of them with ease. Mr. Langdon called Ethan in for a meeting one day. "Your son has a gift," he said with a smile. "He thinks in patterns, and that's something not everybody can do. With the right guidance, he could build things most people only dream about." Ethan listened, hope filling his chest. He had always known Noah was special, but hearing it from someone else made it feel more real. "What should I do?" he asked. "Keep encouraging him," Mr. Langdon replied. "Give him the tools he needs, and the space to grow. After that meeting, Ethan saved money bit by bit and bought Noah a better laptop. It wasn't fancy, but it was fast and strong enough for bigger projects. When Ethan handed it to him, Noah placed his hands on the keyboard gently, as if he were meeting an old friend. "This is for you," Ethan said. "To help you build whatever you want." Noah didn't speak, but he gave a small nod. It was one of the clear, meaningful gestures he used when words were too much. From that day on, Noah spent even more time creating small programs. He made simple games at first, ones where shapes moved in patterns that made sense only to him. But soon, his ideas became more complex. He created small tools that organized tasks, charts that displayed information, and animations that responded to mouse movements. He didn't create for praise. He didn't create for money. He created because it brought him peace. And every evening, Ethan brought him dinner, watching his son work with quiet pride. The rhythm of Noah's typing became part of their home, a steady sound that filled the rooms with hope. Meanwhile, Lena had not called or written again in years. Ethan sometimes wondered where she was, but he did not waste time thinking about her. He focused on Noah, on raising him, on helping him grow. He didn't know that one day, Noah's talent would draw the world's attention. But for now, Noah's world remained simple. A keyboard. A screen. Patterns only he could see. And deep in those patterns, something extraordinary was beginning to form, something that would change both their lives forever. Noah was 17 when the idea for the app first formed in his mind. It happened on a quiet Saturday morning, the kind of morning he liked best. The house was calm, the streets outside were empty, and sunlight spilled softly across the dining table where he worked. He had his laptop open, typing slowly at first, then faster as his mind settled into its familiar rhythm. Ethan was in the kitchen making pancakes. He glanced over every few minutes, checking on Noah like he always did. He never wanted to disturb him, but he liked to stay close. Over the years, Noah's silence had become something gentle, something peaceful. It was simply who he was. That morning, Noah was looking at an old set of communication cards he used during childhood. The cards had pictures of simple needs: food, water, bathroom, help, feelings. He used them when words were too hard to form. Now, the cards were worn, edges bent from years of use. Noah stared at them for a long time. Then he began typing. Ethan didn't notice at first. He assumed Noah was working on another pattern or small program like always. But hours passed, and Noah didn't move from his seat. His focus was sharper than usual, his fingers moving with purpose. When Ethan finally approached, he saw something new on the screen, a simple design, colorful and easy to understand. There were icons, just like his old picture cards, but digital. Noah clicked one, and a soft voice from the laptop spoke the word aloud. Ethan froze. "Noah, what is this?" Noah didn't look up, but he pressed another icon. "Water," the computer said. Another icon. "Help." Ethan's eyes softened. He understood immediately. "You're making a communication tool." Noah gave a small nod. That night, Ethan called Miss Claire, who had worked with Noah for years. When she saw the early version of the app, she gasped softly, "Do you know what this could mean for nonverbal children? This could help so many families." Noah listened quietly. Praise did not excite him or embarrass him. He simply wanted to keep building. From that day on, the app became his main project. He spent hours creating buttons, colors, voice options, and simple layouts. He tested each feature carefully. If a sound was too sharp, he changed it. If a color was too bright, he softened it. Everything had to feel gentle and calm, just like he wished the world had felt when he was younger. Ethan supported him in every way he could. He saved money to buy Noah better software. He read articles on coding, trying to understand enough to offer help. Sometimes he made sandwiches and left them beside Noah when he forgot to eat. Noah worked quietly but steadily. He learned new techniques from online tutorials, studied open-source tools, and experimented with different layouts. He didn't talk much during those months, but Ethan felt closer to him than ever. The project gave them a new connection, something they could both be a part of. One evening, Ethan sat beside Noah and asked, "What do you want to call it?" Noah stared at the screen for a long time, then typed a simple word, "bridge." Ethan smiled. "That's perfect." As the months passed, the app became cleaner, smarter, faster. It allowed users to create custom phrases, choose different voices, and organize communication cards based on personal needs. Noah added a calm background animation, soft waves that moved slowly, designed to soothe anxious users. Ethan shared the app with Noah's therapists and teachers. They tested it with other children, and the response was immediate. Kids who struggled to express themselves suddenly had a way to communicate simple needs. Parents cried tears of relief. Teachers asked how they could get the full version. Noah didn't react to the excitement. He just continued improving the app every day. But Ethan saw something new in him, a quiet confidence, like he had finally found a world that understood him. One morning, a small local organization reached out. They wanted to feature the app in a community newsletter. The writer came to their home to watch Noah work. He didn't speak much, but his actions spoke for him. He showed her how the app worked, pressing icons with calm precision. "This could help thousands of children," the writer said softly to Ethan. "Are you planning to release it?" Ethan looked at Noah. "That depends on him." Noah closed the laptop gently and nodded. It was the first clear yes he had given in weeks. And with that simple gesture, the next chapter of their lives began, one that neither of them could have imagined, one that would carry Noah far beyond the small apartment where he had once struggled to speak at all. Noah was 19 when everything changed. It started quietly, just like most things in his life. He and Ethan uploaded the first public version of the Bridge app on a small website. They didn't expect much. Ethan hoped a few families might find it useful. Noah simply wanted the tool to exist for anyone who needed it. For the first few days, nothing happened. The download count stayed low, barely moving. But Noah didn't mind. He worked on updates every day, fixing tiny details only he seemed to notice. Ethan checked the website each night, hoping for something new. Then, one Monday morning, everything shifted. Ethan woke to dozens of notifications. He frowned in confusion, rubbing his eyes. Messages filled his screen, parents, teachers, therapists, all talking about Bridge. Someone from the local organization had shown the app to a national autism support group. They shared it on their social media page, and overnight everything exploded. "Noah," Ethan said softly, knocking on his door. "You need to see this." Noah looked up from his laptop as Ethan sat beside him and opened the messages. Videos of children using the app were everywhere. One little girl pointed at the icons and smiled when the soft voice spoke for her. A boy who had never communicated clearly before used the app to say happy for the first time. Parents wrote long, emotional messages about hope, relief, and gratitude. Noah blinked slowly, watching the screen. He didn't smile, but his shoulders relaxed. He understood. By the end of the week, the app had over 10,000 downloads. Within a month, it reached 100,000. People began emailing with questions, requests, and opportunities. Organizations wanted to partner with them. Journalists wanted interviews. A small tech company in California reached out, offering support and funding. Ethan tried to keep up, answering messages late into the night. "I need help," he admitted one evening, exhausted but excited. Noah sat beside him and tapped the screen. It was his quiet way of agreeing. They hired a consultant named Claire, a friendly woman who understood the autism community well. She helped organize meetings, handle legal details, and navigate business questions. She treated Noah with patience, always speaking to him gently and giving him time to respond in his own way. "Your son has created something extraordinary," she told Ethan during one meeting. "This isn't just an app, it's a lifeline for families." Noah listened from the corner of the room, typing notes quietly. As Bridge continued to grow, donations and investments began to roll in. A video review from a well-known therapist went viral, showing how easily children could use the app. People around the world downloaded it, families from Canada, Australia, India, and Europe. The app was translated into different languages. Each version kept the same calm voice and gentle colors Noah designed. One evening, Claire walked into their small living room holding a printed report. "You both need to see this," she said. Every line on the paper showed numbers climbing: downloads, reviews, partnerships, funding offers. At the bottom, circled in blue ink, was the estimated value. $3.2 million, she said softly. Ethan blinked in disbelief. That can't be real." "It is," Claire replied. Bridge is officially valued at over $3 million. And it's still growing. Ethan sat back, breathless. He looked at Noah, who stared at the paper quietly, studying the numbers. "This is yours," Ethan whispered. "You did this." Noah didn't speak. He rarely did. But he placed his hand gently on the paper. His fingers tapped lightly, a rhythm that meant he understood. For the first time, Noah lifted his eyes and held his father's gaze for a few seconds. It was more powerful than any words. News articles began calling him a young innovator and a silent genius. Reporters asked for interviews, though Noah rarely agreed. He preferred to stay home, working on updates, improving features, and answering user feedback. Ethan tried to keep life as normal as possible. He still cooked simple dinners, still reminded Noah to take breaks, still checked on him each night. But their world had changed. They received invitations to events, conferences, and awards ceremonies. The autism community praised the app, calling it one of the most accessible communication tools ever made. Through everything, Noah stayed the same. Calm. Quiet. Focused. And even though he didn't say it, Ethan could feel the truth: Noah had found his place in the world. He had built something beautiful. And somewhere far away, a woman who once walked out of their lives was about to learn about his success. She had no idea her return would come with storms none of them expected. Ethan's world changed quickly after his app began to attract serious attention. More investors reached out, more companies wanted to collaborate, and more people wanted to meet the young man whose idea was quietly shaping a new space in the tech world. But while the world outside became louder, Ethan's inner world stayed the same: quiet, structured, and anchored in routine. Diana often reminded him that it was okay to take breaks, but he would shake his head gently. He wanted to keep working. Focusing on his app made him feel calm, and helping others through it made him feel useful in a way nothing else ever had. Maria, on the other hand, kept adjusting to all the changes. It still amazed her that the little boy who once struggled to tie his shoes without help was now being praised by people with impressive titles. But to her, he was still just Ethan, the boy who collected smooth stones, loved noodle soup, and needed quiet time when the world felt too big. One evening, Maria sat at the kitchen table with her laptop open. She was looking at emails she barely understood. Words like equity, joint venture, and licensing deal floated across the screen. She sighed and placed her forehead in her hands. Diana walked in and immediately noticed. "Need help?" she asked. Maria nodded. "I don't know what half of these terms mean. I just want to make sure Ethan is safe. I don't want anyone trying to use him or trick him." Diana sat beside her. "That's why I'm here. We'll go through it step by step. You don't have to understand everything at once." Maria gave her a tired but grateful smile. The two women spent the next hour reading documents, searching terms, and discussing what was best for Ethan's long-term security. They talked about creating a trust, hiring a financial planner, and making sure that Ethan's app stayed in his control. "It's strange," Maria said softly. "All those years, I was just trying to help him get through simple tasks. Now I'm learning how to protect a business he built." Diana smiled gently. "He's always had potential. He just needed time and space to grow." Maria looked toward Ethan's room, where the soft clicking of his keyboard echoed down the hallway. "I never doubted his potential," she murmured. "I only doubted myself." The next day brought fresh challenges. A reporter contacted them, asking for an interview with Ethan. Maria politely declined, saying he preferred privacy. She didn't want him pushed into the spotlight. That afternoon, they met with a lawyer recommended by one of Diana's colleagues. His name was Eric, a calm and patient man who made sure he explained everything slowly. Eric listened carefully as Maria talked about her concerns. When she finished, he nodded. "You're doing the right thing," he said. "We'll put legal protections in place. Ethan's business and earnings will stay safe." Maria felt a sense of relief, but only for a moment. Responsibilities were growing every day. She still worked long shifts, still kept the house running, still made sure Ethan had everything he needed. One evening, as she stood at the stove stirring a pot of soup, Ethan walked into the kitchen. He rarely approached her without a need or a purpose. This time, he simply stood there, fidgeting with the sleeve of his shirt. Maria turned off the burner and faced him. "Yes, sweetheart?" He hesitated, eyes fixed on the floor. "You're tired," he said quietly. Maria blinked. Ethan rarely commented on feelings, not his, not hers. "A little," she admitted with a soft smile. Ethan shifted his weight, then added, "I can help." Maria froze for a second. Help? Ethan liked helping, but he usually helped in small ways, organizing his books, folding towels, clearing his desk. "What do you want to help with?" she asked gently. "Dishes," he said slowly. "And maybe vacuum." Maria felt her eyes water. "That would be wonderful. Thank you." He nodded once, as if confirming a task, then walked toward the sink and began arranging the dishes in neat rows. Diana stepped into the room just in time to witness the moment. She gave Maria a warm smile. "He's learning to watch you," she whispered. "He cares more than you think." That night, Maria wrote in a small notebook she kept by her bed, a habit she had developed to track Ethan's progress when he was younger. She hadn't written in it for years. But tonight felt worth remembering. Today, she wrote, "Ethan helped without being asked. Not because of routine, but because he saw me struggle. I think he is understanding more emotions now, his and others. And he is trying. He is always trying." She closed the notebook gently. Life was still complicated. Problems didn't disappear. Bills still came in. Decisions still needed to be made. And the world was still changing fast around Ethan. But something else was changing, too. Something small, quiet, and hopeful. Ethan was becoming more connected. More expressive. More aware. And Maria, though tired, felt stronger than she had in years. Whatever challenges came next, she believed they could face them, together. The weeks that followed brought new routines, new decisions, and new challenges. Ethan's app continued to grow, and with growth came more people reaching out. Some wanted to invest, some wanted to partner, and some simply wanted a piece of the success. Maria and Diana worked hard to protect him from the pressure, making sure he had space to breathe and stay grounded. Ethan was still himself, quiet, focused, predictable in his habits. But now, there were small changes. He spent a little more time outside his room. He asked slightly more questions. He noticed things he used to ignore, like the sound of Maria sighing after a long day or the way Diana rubbed her temples when she was tired. One morning, Maria drove Ethan to a meeting with a local tech group that wanted to support his work. It was held in a small community center, far from anything flashy. Maria preferred it that way. She didn't want him overwhelmed. Ethan sat quietly at the table while the group members introduced themselves. They were kind, patient, and genuinely interested in helping him. One of them, a young developer named Nate, spoke slowly and clearly as he explained how they could support Ethan with future updates. Ethan listened carefully, his fingers tapping lightly against his leg. When Nate finished, Ethan nodded and said, "Yes. Help is good." Maria smiled softly. It wasn't much, but for Ethan, those 3 words carried meaning. He understood that he didn't have to do everything alone. After the meeting, they stopped by a small park. Ethan didn't usually enjoy crowded places, but the park was empty that morning. He walked along the path, running his fingers over the tops of wooden benches, touching the leaves of low branches, grounding himself in the textures. Maria watched him with quiet pride. He had come so far. But not everything was peaceful. That afternoon, Maria received a message from an unknown number. She almost ignored it, but something made her open it. Hello. This is Lisa. I need to speak with you about Ethan. It is urgent. Maria's breath caught in her throat. Lisa. Ethan's biological mother. The woman who walked away when he was still a small child. Her hands trembled slightly as she read the message again. She hadn't heard from Lisa in years, not a single call, not a single birthday card, nothing. And now, suddenly, she wanted to talk. Maria didn't respond. Instead, she set her phone down and walked to the living room to clear her thoughts. Diana arrived shortly after and immediately sensed something was wrong. What happened? She asked. Maria hesitated before answering. Lisa messaged me. She wants to talk about Ethan. She said it's urgent. Diana frowned. Why now? After all these years? Maria shook her head slowly. I don't know. But I'm afraid it has something to do with his success. She must have seen the news, the articles, the posts. Maybe someone told her about the money. Maria's voice wavered. I don't want her anywhere near him. She left. She didn't care. She didn't even try. And now that he's doing well, she suddenly remembers she's his mother? Diana reached out and gently squeezed her shoulder. We'll handle it. You're not alone. Maria closed her eyes for a moment, steadying her breathing. Later that evening, she checked her phone again. Another message from Lisa had arrived. If you don't respond, I will come in person. I have a right to see him, the message continued. I spoke with a lawyer. Please call me. Maria felt a cold wave move through her chest. The mention of a lawyer made everything feel more serious, more real. She quietly walked into Ethan's room. He was sitting cross-legged on the floor, sorting colored blocks by shape and size, an activity he still found soothing. Ethan, she said softly. He looked up, his eyes calm and steady. I love you, Maria said suddenly, the emotion rising too quickly to control. Ethan blinked once. I know, he said simply. She smiled through the weight in her chest and sat beside him, picking up a block and placing it gently next to his. She didn't tell him about Lisa. Not yet. She wanted to protect his peace for as long as she could. But deep inside, Maria knew one thing clearly. Someone was coming. And they weren't coming with love. The next few days moved slowly, each one filled with a quiet tension that settled over the house like a thin layer of fog. Maria tried to stay calm, but every time her phone buzzed, her heart jumped. She avoided responding to Lisa, hoping the silence would make her go away. But deep down, she knew it wouldn't be so simple. Ethan continued with his routines, unaware of the storm forming around him. He worked on small updates for his app, made lists, organized his shelves, and went for short walks with Maria or Diana. Everything in his world felt steady. Peaceful. Predictable. One morning, Maria sat at the table with a cup of tea, staring at the steam rising from it. Diana walked in, gently patting her shoulder as she passed. Did she message again? Diana asked softly. Maria nodded. She said she wants to meet in person. And she said her lawyer told her she has rights. Diana frowned. Ethan is an adult. He decides who he sees. She can't force her way into his life. Maria took a slow breath. I just don't want him hurt. He doesn't understand the kind of pain she could bring. He trusts simply. Fully. And she doesn't deserve that trust. Diana pulled a chair beside her. So we protect him. The same way we always have. He's not alone, Maria. And neither are you. That afternoon, Eric, the lawyer who had been helping them, came by the house. They sat in the living room, the air still and serious. "I looked at the messages you forwarded," Eric said. "She can try to claim she wants a relationship with Ethan, but she cannot demand access. He is legally independent. She has no automatic rights now. Especially after years of absence." Maria exhaled, some of the tension leaving her shoulders. "But," Eric added, "she may still try to push. Especially if she thinks there's money involved. We need to be prepared. If she appears in person or tries to contact Ethan directly, call me immediately." Maria nodded. "Thank you." "Truly." After Eric left, Maria checked on Ethan. He was in his room, humming softly as he worked on a new idea for a feature in his app. "Can I sit?" she asked. He nodded without looking away from his screen. Maria sat on the edge of his bed. She watched him for a moment, feeling a mixture of pride and protectiveness swell in her chest. "You're doing great things," she said quietly. Even though he was focused, he paused just long enough to say, "I like helping people." Maria smiled. "I know." That evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Maria and Diana prepared dinner together. The house felt calm again. Safe again. But the calm didn't last. A knock echoed through the house. Hard. Sharp. Unexpected. Maria froze, her eyes meeting Diana's. Neither spoke. Slowly, Maria walked toward the door, her heartbeat quick and heavy. When she opened it, the world seemed to tilt for a moment. Lisa stood there. Her hair was neatly curled, her clothes expensive, her expression tight and rehearsed. And beside her stood a man in a gray suit, holding a folder. "Hello, Maria," Lisa said, her voice smooth but cold. "We need to talk about Ethan." Maria's hand tightened on the doorframe. "This isn't a good time." Lisa gave a thin smile. "I'm his mother. I think it's long overdue." "You left him," Maria replied softly, but firmly. Lisa's smile didn't waver. "People change. Circumstances change. And now that he's successful, I believe I should be part of his life again. Legally speaking, I have options." The man beside her cleared his throat. "We're prepared to discuss custody." "Custody," Maria repeated, disbelief and anger rising like fire. Before the lawyer could continue, a small sound came from behind Maria. Ethan. He had wandered toward the doorway, drawn by the unfamiliar voices. Lisa's eyes lit up as if she had just spotted a prize. "Ethan," she said brightly, stepping forward. "Sweetheart, it's me. Your mom." Ethan stared at her, no recognition in his eyes. His hands twitched slightly, a sign of discomfort. Maria stepped in front of him immediately, her voice steady and calm. "Ethan, it's okay. Go to your room, sweetheart. I'll be there soon." He nodded and walked away without a word. When he disappeared down the hall, Maria turned back to Lisa. "You are not going near him," she said quietly. "You abandoned him. He does not know you. You have no place in his life now." Lisa's face hardened. "We'll see about that." She turned sharply and walked away, her lawyer following. Maria closed the door slowly, her hands shaking. Diana rushed over. "Maria." "I'm fine," Maria whispered, though her voice trembled. "She's not taking him. She can try. She can threaten. She can hire every lawyer she wants. But she is not taking him." Diana wrapped an arm around her, steadying her. Maria took a slow breath. She knew a battle was coming. But she also knew one thing with absolute certainty. She would fight with everything she had. For Ethan.